Hi everyone, it's Dr. Karen, the Women's Midlife Specialist, and this is a great set of labs because it's going to be very similar to a lot of you who are on no replacement currently. This is a lovely lady. We're going to go by the initials KY for Kentucky, I guess, or hey, how about that KY jelly? But in any event, KY is 50 years old. She's premenopausal but irregular. So irregular means she is premenopausal, getting around those maybe 1-2 years before she actually hits menopause. Well, KY has something interesting. She is low in everything. And so I commonly see low in all of the hormones, but not necessarily low in cortisol. So we're going to help KY today. The other interesting thing that I see is that she stopped some estrogen and some progesterone about 2 weeks before she did these labs. So I'm not exactly sure why she stopped it, but 2 weeks is enough time to get those levels back to where they were before she was even on any of these hormones. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at someone who actually isn't without therapy right now. So what you see is a low estrogen, 0.5, and a low progesterone, 11. Not a big surprise because our levels are low before we even hit menopause. And then, of course, look what we've got, the expected dreaded progesterone to estrogen ratio of only 22, so she's significantly estrogen dominant, even though she's low in estrogen as it stands. Then she's low in testosterone, so her energy is probably pretty low. Her DHEA is significantly low, and we see the morning cortisol low as well at 3.6. So when we look at her graphs, you can see that these show low for her age of a young 50 years old. And let's see, so that's estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, low DHEA, and low salivary cortisol when she did her saliva at about what it looks like, maybe 7:30 in the morning. Okay, so let's see. If we look at her symptoms, she's got the worst of symptoms: hot flashes, night sweats, disturbed sleep, and weight gain and weight retention. And we scoot on down here with this lovely bar graphs that ZRT provides us. Her symptoms show estrogen, this is the highest one, estrogen and progesterone deficiencies, which is exactly what her labs show. But check this out. Her symptoms show more high cortisol symptoms than low cortisol symptoms. So this one is the low cortisol. So this says low cortisol, and that leads over here. And those aren't as significant as high cortisol right here. Now, this is interesting because what I want to remind you is that this is only the morning cortisol level, so she very well may be elevated later on in the day. So we've got low estrogen, low progesterone, low androgens, both testosterone and DHEA, and a low morning cortisol with symptoms of high cortisol. So these are obvious signs of adrenal stress. So what are we going to do for KY? Well, the first thing we're going to do is get her back on whatever she was using, or I don't know what that was, but this is, if we're looking at, let me go back here because I want to make sure that you get a chance to read these graphs, this chart. I know this is small in size, but her estrogen at 0.5 is over here, less than 1.3, and her progesterone is 11. Progesterone to estrogen ratio is 22. So we're in the estradiol ratio. If your estradiol is less than 1.3, then we're going to be there. And then we're going to follow it along here. Her progesterone to estrogen ratio is less than 50. So this is what her the right amount and which products to use. 2 pumps in the morning and 2 pumps in the evening of Hormone Heaven, and 1 pump in the morning and 1 pump at the bedtime of Hormone Protect. And that's what I have here. So we're going to use 2 pumps of Hormone Heaven twice daily plus 1 pump twice daily of Hormone Protect. These are 2 different products that she'll need to get that progesterone to estrogen imbalance back to a nice optimal level of 100 to 500, which is around our 30-year-old, spunky self. And though I do want to mention that she may actually need, and this is a unique thing to her, she may actually need to increase this to 3 to 4 pumps twice daily. One, she's young, but she also may be a faster metabolizer. Now, what gives me this hint is that all of her levels are low with only 2 weeks last used. So some women might take longer than 2 weeks to show such low levels if they were consistently using the bioidentical hormones, but possibly KY wasn't consistently using them either. So in any event, we start with 2 pumps of Hormone Heaven plus 1 pump of Hormone Protect, both of these at the same time, twice daily. Now, what are we going to do for poor KY and her other challenges? Oh, I see I have something first. I prepared a little bit more for you, KY. Okay, so due to the significant low levels and the irregular menses, this is what's different also we haven't talked about. When you have an irregular menses, it's likely that you're not ovulating. You may throw out an egg here and there, but for the most part, each time you have a menses, it's not really one that resulted in an egg production. So what I'm recommending is a 6 days a week, not the second half of the cycle, even though you're still having periods now and then irregularly. I want to really look at this more as irregular, not ovulating, using it 6 days a week. But if you have a menses, then to stop for 3 days during that irregular menses. If we only used these products the second half of the month, as we do when we're younger, you're not going to get adequate balance because you're just all over the place right now, KY. When you're having these irregular menses and you're close to menopause, then you're really not having balance even the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks of your cycle. But make sure you rotate your sites and read all about how to get the most out of your young hormones document. And there's a video there too on the website. Okay, so now what are we going to do about your adrenal glands with the low morning levels, but your symptoms actually showing the opposite? Okay, this is where we're going. First of all, we've got to improve that DHEA. So use to start 5 milligrams of DHEA. We want to start low, go slow, but get there. So in about a month, increase this to 10 milligrams each morning. Then we want to use something called Adrenal. This is my favorite product for someone who has high cortisol symptoms. So you might be saying to yourself, how do I know when to use Adrenal, or how do I know when to use Adrenal? So Adrenal is the nutrients and the adaptogenic herbs that will help heal your adrenal glands, and that's important when you have high symptoms of adrenal fatigue, high cortisol symptoms. Even though you had a low one in the morning, you still have high symptoms. If you have a low cortisol morning level and you are fatigued and exhausted, that's when you use Adrenal, because that has the nutrients and the adaptogenic herbs and the adrenal glandulars. So we're not going to use that, or I'm not going to recommend that with KY, because I suspect that if she had done a 4-point cortisol, she would have seen some spikes of cortisol later in the day. So when you retest, and I would recommend that you do about 4 to 6 months from now, once you start your products, also check an estrone level and consider adding that 4-point cortisol. Okay, so I think there's one more thing that I want to show you. Do I have it on this one? No, I don't, but it's all right. I must have had it on this one. Give me just a second here. Yes, and this is what I wanted to show you. The morning fatigue is really on the mild range, like her sugar craving, that is more significant, and that's more of a high cortisol symptom. The weight gain, the weight retention, these are all high cortisol symptoms. Sleep disturbed, high cortisol symptoms. Hot flashes, night sweats cause high cortisol. All of these are more high. And then if I also look down here, I look at nervous, irritable, and anxious. So if these are all low or just mild symptoms, then you can use Adrenal, but if they're high, then that's another time I use Adrenavive to get this calming first, and then go for the gold and use the Adrenal if necessary. So here I show where she has the high cortisol and the estrogen and progesterone deficiency, but her low cortisol symptoms, all in all, are not as much as the high cortisol. So this is what we have to look at as a whole, not just that morning cortisol when we're deciding how to treat the adrenal glands. But most of the time, I can get it going here with the with just the morning level, as long as I also know symptoms. So this is where we're going to start Adrenavive for about 4 to 6 months, and I think those high cortisol symptoms are going to improve significantly with the DHEA, Adrenavive, Hormone Heaven, and Hormone Protect. And I look forward to seeing how you do. You let me know, KY, and give me a thumbs up. And hey, consider ordering your orthomolecular products through me too. I provide all your shipping costs and 10% off of these magnificent products of orthomolecular. Thank you for your following me and learning about how to balance your hormones. Give me a thumbs up, share this with others, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.